guys, welcome back to my channel. So in the last video, I've answered a Q&A sessions about I've been staying a year in New Zealand. So today I'm going to talk more about Working Holiday Visa. As now, Working Holiday Scheme seems to be more famous compared to before. So I've listed down everything about the Working Holiday Visa and I'm going to talk about it today. And here is the list that I've been talking about today, which is who will be more suitable for this scheme. There are a few reasons why people choose to go for Working Holiday Visa. First, of course, is they want to explore New Zealand, and also they want to earn some money to travel around in New Zealand. Second is that they want to come over and earn some money. The third one is that before they want to get a work visa here, they wanted to explore New Zealand first. That's why they get a working holiday visa, and then it will be more easier for them to convert to work visa. And then the fourth one is that they wish to get a working holiday visa and then they go for the studies after getting enough of money. Yeah, so there's four types of people. And I will not say who will be more suitable for this scheme, as I will brief through everything and I will conclude in the last part, okay? So the most important part is the cost, right? What is the cost in coming to New Zealand by getting a working holiday visa? We will start with how much does it cost in applying the working holiday visa. So now as I show up, it is costing 420 New Zealand dollar for now. If you convert to Malaysia ringgit, it will be like 1,169.37. Yeah, this is the basic amount that you need in order for you to apply for the visa. So the next one, it will be the living fund. As you guys can see, there's a living fund. There's a minimum requirement from the government, which is like 2,250 New Zealand dollar. It is roughly around 6,000 Malaysia ringgit. And some of you guys might be saying that, oh, this is a bit too much, but I will let you guys know about that. It is fair enough to get this amount as a minimum requirement. So I will try to break down some of the expenses if you are living here, okay? I will start with the rental, as is the most basic thing. So for the rental, it depends on where do you live, what type of houses do you live in, and which part do you live at. So for example, whether do you live in the north or the south, you are living in a share house or in an apartment. Some maybe come with electricity and water bill, but some maybe not. And also it depends on which part do you stay in, maybe in a more rural area or more city area. So it depends, but I will come to a figure maybe is around 220 for a week. For the food, I will just go for $50, as I assume that you guys getting a working holiday visa is that you guys want to save some money, okay? So I will set for like a 50 New Zealand dollar for a week. For the transportation, I will set for like a $40. In total, it will cost around 310 per week. And with the amount that you have, which is like 2,250, it will be only last for like 6 weeks to 7 weeks. And you are coming here for like 6 months, which is equivalent to 26 weeks, which means that you still need another 19 weeks for you to survive in New Zealand. Of course, I know that you guys will get a job here, but it needs some time. Because some area it might take a longer time for you to get a job, and also depends on the season. So it is better for you guys have a fund in your bank account meanwhile that you are looking for a job. Okay, it is fair enough for government to set these minimum requirements of living fund. Now come to the most interesting part, is how much do I earn in these 6 months. Here is a payslip of mine in 6 months from June to December of 20 and 22, which I have exactly earned 36,570.55 New Zealand dollar without tax. So if you convert to Malaysia ringgit, it will be like roughly 100k. Yeah, so if after tax, it will be like around 30,000 New Zealand dollar, which convert to Malaysia ringgit, it will be like 85,000. In average a month, I have earned around 5,000 New Zealand dollar, which is around 14,000 Malaysia ringgit. And this job, I would say, is considered as a fixed hour as well. I sometimes started around 5:30 am, some maybe will be like 6 am, and ended up around 4 to 5:30. So it depends the jobs for the day, whether it's busy or not. But I've summed out that average a week I work for like 69 hours. Of course, it depends on what type of the job that you want. Like for me, I go for a factory job because I want a longer hours, so I'm able to save more money for my study. And some of the people, maybe they will tend to go for like restaurant job, seasonal work, or maybe a housekeeping job. But in order for them to get longer hour, they will just go for 2 to 3 jobs in the meantime in order for them to get to like a longer hours. But for me is that I don't like to go through so much, so I just stay in a factory job. So it depends on what job do you want and what's the goal for you to come here. Like I said, some maybe is for study, some maybe is convert to work visa. It depends on what do you want. Yeah. If like you want to get this working holiday visa, what is the do, right? In order for you to successfully get this working holiday visa. So now I'm going to share some few tips about the do's that you guys should do in order to successfully obtain this working holiday visa. So the first, which is the most important one, I would say that try to log in and check what is the information it will be needed. Like maybe you can log into the different country and you go through the whole information that you need to submit during the process. First is that you let yourself to familiar about the process. Second is that you can jot down in the document, like in the words, in order for you to trace back, like easier for you to reference when on the day that you are going to submit for the visa. Okay, the another reason is that it will be better for you to share to your friends or your family to help you to submit the form together. Because from my personal experience is that first the server will be very lag and it will be keep on jumping out. So it will be better that if you have your friends or family helping you to do it. So if for example you already go to the step 2 and suddenly it lag and you have pop up, but in the another computer which is the same that I've logged in, they will like continue to the step 3 or step 4. So if let's say that computer have pop up again, once you log in here, it will show up, maybe it goes to step 5. Yeah, it will be more faster and easier for you to complete the applications. And the final tips is that if you have a friends or relative in New Zealand, please get them to help you, because the rate in successful getting a working holiday visa will be higher if someone is applying through New Zealand, like from New Zealand. Yeah. And then the last one is that be prepared everything before the date, like the gate has opened for you to apply for it, maybe like 15 to 20 minutes before. Yeah. Now come to the part don'ts, what you don't do it. I would say this is 100% important because my partner, he had made this mistake which have caused a lot of issue he has to go through, which make us that we fly separately to New Zealand as well. This is because of that he did not renew his passport before getting the working holiday visa. Like we apply and only then he go to change his passport, which in return when we get the working holiday visa back, the passport number is different in the visa. So he has to go through a lot of trouble, like he need to send some email or some proof to Singapore and then need to wait for a time of periods for them to get back and all to verify that this is your new passport and all that. So I don't really know how it go through because I can't really take part into it, but I only can say this is very troublesome. So please get your passport renewed before you apply for the working holiday visa. This is very important. Now has come to the part which is the duration. How long have you waited for the visa to get approved? So in the system it stated like 36 days, but for us we get it within 8 days. We started to apply on the 15th of March and we get it on 24th of March, which is 8 days including weekend. Yeah, during the time that you are applying for the visa, I would say it takes around 3 hours. We started to apply since 8 a.m. and we finished around 8 a.m. So it's like 3 hours or 4 hours. I'm not sure about that, but that's the time that I get through. Yeah. Now you have successfully get your working holiday visa. What should you do? The first step is that you should get your police certificate. This is very important in order for you to fly to New Zealand. So this police certificate only costs you around 20 ringgit, like 20 bucks, but it need wait for like 1 to 2 months. So I recommend that you can apply before you apply for your working holiday visa. Yeah, but take note that this police certificate, after you get it, you have to use it within 3 months. Yeah, so you can roughly calculate the time when should you register for that, okay? Second thing is the medical cert. Some they say it's necessary, some say it's not necessary, but for me I always go for the safest one. So I go for a medical check once I get my working holiday visa because it is very costly. So I don't recommend that you do it before applying the working holiday visa, as you do not know whether you will successfully get it or not. Of course, I hope that you guys can get it, but as a safest way for you to save money, I would say you get it after you successfully obtain one of it, okay? It costs around 600 bucks, which is like Malaysia ringgit, 600 ringgit for you to do this medical check. It takes around 3 hours for you to go through all the process and you will get the result within few days. And it will be automatically pop up to the New Zealand system, which the immigration can see it immediately. Yep. Of course, you can choose to do it if they ask you to do so, but it will take a longer period of time for you to go through the process. Yeah, so it depends on you guys. But for me, I just go for the safer route. And the best thing is that if you are planning to get another visa in New Zealand within 3 months, okay, and then it will be good for you to do this medical check in Malaysia, as it is very expensive to have a medical check in New Zealand. Yeah, like for me, I get it in Malaysia, and once I fly to New Zealand, within 3 months, I apply a work visa and I don't have to go through another medical check in New Zealand, as I can use this medical certificate and it saved me a lot of money. And once I have used this, I can last for like 2 years. So which means within these 2 years, if I apply for another visa like student visa, I don't have to go through another medical check again. Yeah, so it depends on what's the situation you are in, and you can decide about that, okay? Now come to the part, when do I recommend, when should you guys come over? I would say that it depends on what type of job that you want, what is the experience that you want to go through, and you make the decision for that. As New Zealand have 4 seasons, which is different season, they have different job and different experience. So I will first start with my own experience. When I landed in New Zealand, it is around end of April, which is nearly winter. A lot of seasonal work like apple, kiwi, packing job, everything is not as demanded. So I go for a factory job. And also the reason I go for a factory job because I know when the winter season comes, I only can choose to work from, maybe it's like a ski area, or maybe from a grape, like a grape. I have to cut some grape or pick some grape, but a lot of people don't recommend to go for, as it's very very cold and you have to stand under the cold situations with your hand cutting out the grape, which a lot of people don't recommend for that, and I don't recommend as well, as it's really cold during winter. But secondly, I don't go for ski because it's unstable work hours, so I go for a factory job. So, and you might think that, okay, then maybe I can come in the next season, maybe it's spring. I don't really know about spring that much, but I would say that a lot of people they come during spring is because of that they want to apply job for summer. As during summer, it's very hard for you to get a job. Why? Because everyone is able to work during that period of time. Like for example, student, that's the only period of time they can work as a full time to get money, and it is also the time which a lot of the season work able to work. So I would say that is a lot of the supply, but meanwhile there's also a lot of demand, so it will be a bit difficult for you guys to obtain a job during the summer. That's why some of them they will come during spring, and they will apply for a job in the summer. I would say that if you are come around spring, maybe you can start with a factory job as well, or maybe you can go for some restaurant or maybe like a supermarket to go for it. Yeah, but I not really know about spring, but that's what I can talk about. For summer, I would say this is the best time you can come to New Zealand to work during the summer, because it is not very cold but not very warm. It is the best time, but as I mentioned just now, it's a bit hard for you to obtain a job during summer. Second thing is that summer flight ticket is very expensive. It's not expensive, it's super expensive, like double up or triple up the flight ticket. I believe that it's because of a lot of people, they will come for vacation, and some maybe they will fly back to their own country, especially during the Christmas season, or maybe during the Chinese New Year, or like they fly back to some cultural celebrations. Okay, this is the reason why the flight is so expensive. Yeah, so there's pros and cons, so depends on which do you guys prefer. And then the last season, it will be the autumn season. The autumn season, I would say, is like because it's in the middle of the season, like for the apple, for the kiwi, but it almost getting near to the period of ending season. Yeah, so which means you have to switch the job when it comes to the end of the autumn. Here is all the 4 season type of the job that I have talked about. So it depends on your budget, like the flight ticket. And the secondly is what is the experience that you want to experience. Like what's the weather that you want to go through. Whether you are a person that you're afraid of cold or you love the cold. And you pick yourself which is the season that you recommend. Of course, I recommend for the summer because I'm a person that I don't really like cold weather, as it's really cold here. So it depends on what is your decisions and what's your plan, what's your next move. Yeah. I will attach a link which has specifically clarified that in which season it will be available for which type of food, and also in which part of area, and also in North and South Island, so you guys can go through about that. What type of job should you expect in getting a working holiday visa to work in New Zealand? So I would say that most of them, they will go for a seasonal job, bakery shop, factory job, merchandiser, and a housekeeper, cleaner, farm job, ski job, and some maybe they will go for their field like IT or car repairing, and they plan to convert to work visa, and I don't know. So it is just like an example. So it depends on what is the aim for you to come to New Zealand by holding a working holiday visa. Of course, everyone will say that, oh, it's a chance for you to come over and experience, but experience is a broad word. Like what type of experience, it depends on what do you want to, am I right? Some of my friends, they come here to experience their own job back in their country, like IT, like the car repair, and they are successfully getting a work visa after they have ended their working holiday visa. Some of them, they just come to experience, like they have changed a lot of job in a few months because they want to experience a different job, and then they get the money, and then they travel, and then they're back to their country. Yeah, so depends on what do you want, and this is what I can share. Is just imagine that like you are come from another country, but in this country they also have a different type of job that you can go for. Yeah, so of course the thing that you guys have to remember is that we are the foreigner, and of course everything they will prioritize their own family first. Yeah, so it depends on your luck whether you can get a job or not. But I will say that if your job is in an expert area, like a skilled area, it will be more easier for others to obtain it. Yeah, like for example, if I want to go to IT field, I don't have any experience. I can't really get a spot in a company to work with it. Okay, which part of Ireland should you go to? So in New Zealand, there's two parts of Ireland. One is north, one is south. For the north, it's more like a city area, and for the south, it's more like a rural area. But both of them have their pros and cons. Like for the north, it is more like city, so obviously it will have more food, more people, more busy life, and more job opportunity. But in the south, because it's more chill, more slow pace, so it will returns have low job opportunity, but you're able to experience a lot of beautiful scenery in the south. Yeah, so depends on which of the area that you prefer, what type of the job that you want to, what type of the life that you wish to have to experience. Yeah, like some of my friends, they prefer to go to a rural area, some maybe they go for a city area. I would say I'm a North Island person, I'm a more city person, so I will prefer to go for the north. Yeah. Is it worth it or not? I would say yes or no. And why do I say so? Because it really depends on what's your aim and your goal in getting a working holiday visa. And I will make a simple calculations whether is it worth it in getting a working holiday visa here or not. I'm going to calculate the cost. For the visa application, it costs like 420 New Zealand dollar. For the police certificate, it will cost like roughly 7 New Zealand dollar. The medical cert is around 270 New Zealand dollar. Working holiday insurance is 204 New Zealand dollar. It is very important to get insurance if you are in a different country. Even though you already have your insurance in your country, it's still important for you to get a working holiday visa insurance in New Zealand. Because like for my case is that once I fly to New Zealand over 3 months, if anything happen, touch wood happen, and it is not covered from the insurance company. It's stated in the contract. I'm not sure about your contract, or maybe you can ask your agent about it, but I can say that most of it is not covered. Like in order for you to reactivate is that you have to fly back to your country. Like me, I have to fly back to Malaysia and it get activated again for my insurance. But it's very costly for me to fly back. It's impossible just for this insurance and I fly back. So I just purchased another working holiday visa insurance and it's not costly as well. It just like costs you 200 New Zealand dollar. For the flight ticket, it depends on when do you fly to New Zealand. As I said, during summer it will be more pricey. But for my case, I would say that my ticket is considered as pricier because by that time when I fly over, it's during COVID. I cost around 1,211 New Zealand dollar. So in total, it cost me 3,270 New Zealand dollar, which convert to Malaysia, it will be nearly 9,000. Now we still have to add up the living fund that required from the government, which is like nearly 50,000 Malaysia ringgit. So it's better for you to have this amount of money before you apply for this working holiday visa. Okay, so now you might ask me that, oh, now we already spent so much in order to get this working holiday visa. Whether is it worth it for me to get this working holiday visa? Whether am I really able to earn money by getting this visa? Okay, let me show you. Now I'm going to list out the living cost in New Zealand per week. First, it will be rental. It depends on what type of house, which area, which island that we live in. But I will share based on my personal experience is that I have friends, they stay in a share house as a bunk bed, cost only like 90 to 100 New Zealand dollar per week. And I have a friend, they stay in a share house, cost like 220. And also I have experience before staying alone, which cost me $320. Yeah, so I would just get in a middle point, okay, which is 220 as a share house. And food, I will go to like 50 to 100 New Zealand dollar. For the transport, I will go for 40 New Zealand dollar. So it is around between 190 to 360. I would just go for the bigger amount, okay, which is like 360. And I'm staying in New Zealand for 6 months, which is 26 weeks. In total, I have to pay for like 9,390 New Zealand dollar, which is around 26,000 Malaysian ringgit. Okay, now you will say that, whoa, this is a big cost, right? Okay, don't worry, we still haven't deduct the part that we have earned during the 6 months. Okay, 6 months we have earned around 30,000 New Zealand dollar. Okay, and then I will deduct the fixed cost that I've calculated just now. And what I have remained is roughly 19,000 of New Zealand dollar, which you convert to Malaysia ringgit, it will be like nearly 50,000 Malaysia ringgit in 6 months. Okay, so this is what I will be earning. Okay, this calculation is based on purely working without travel, without spending. If let's say you want to go for a 2 week or few weeks of the travel in New Zealand before you head back to Malaysia, it will be another case, and it depends on what you spend. But what I can share about the traveling cost is that it costs the same when you travel in your country. Like for example, in Malaysia, it costs like 100 to 300 for you to stay in a hotel. It costs the same in New Zealand, like it costs like 100 or maybe 200, 300 for you to stay a night in the hotel in New Zealand. So this is how it will be calculated, and we have spent 3,000 to 4,000 before when we traveling in New Zealand. Yeah, and it's really costly for us to travel around because you can't really cook, you have to eat the food outside, and the food is quite costly, costs around like 20 to 30 New Zealand dollar, and you have to rent for a car as well. Renting a car in New Zealand is super expensive, especially if you think of getting a caravan. I don't really recommend for you to do it during the summer because the price is crazy. Yeah, but depends on how are you going to determine the budget, what is your goal in coming here. Now, after we have understand all the scenario, and it's time for us to back to the first questions. This game is suitable for which type of people? So for the first one is for those who want to come and experience, meanwhile you want to earn some money. I would say definitely it is the scheme for you. Okay, you can get to earn some money and you can get to explore and you can go back to Malaysia or to your country. This is definitely yes for you. For the second one is that for those who plan to get a working holiday visa as their starting point, but they plan to convert to work visa afterward. I would say for now the work visa is a bit hard to convert as the New Zealand government has raised up the minimum wages again. Yeah, so it's not as easy as previous. So now it's a bit harder, a bit difficult. But if let's say you are in a green list, okay, then it will be more easier for you to go for this plan. If you are in a green list zone and your plan is to convert to work visa after working holiday visa, I would say maybe it's a good chance for you to come and explore first, and you can decide whether you want or you don't want to convert. Yeah. I have a news which is that I have few of my friends, they come to New Zealand and they have successfully convert to work visa by working in a green list occupations. For the third is that they want to further study. Okay, I need to be honest with you guys that working in 6 months is not sufficient enough for you to pay for an international school fee in New Zealand. It is ridiculous expensive. I would say it's very expensive and you can't cover it. Maybe you would say like, oh, I already earned like 17,000 New Zealand dollar by working in 6 months. I would say that's not enough. That's only enough for you to prove your living fund in being a student, but you have to pay for a school fee, maybe another 20 or 30 New Zealand dollar or 50 New Zealand dollar in a year, depending on what are you studying. So I would say is a no if you are thinking to using a working holiday visa and you convert to a student visa. It's possible that if you still want to go for study, but in the meantime, like in the middle of the period, you have to convert to a work visa and you work a longer period of time, only then you can go for cost in New Zealand. The last one is that for those who want to come and earn money, I would say definitely is yes, as well as you see that you guys able to earn so much in just 6 months, okay? But of course, this provided that you are not so enjoying the luxury life, like you are here to earn money. It's not here to enjoy your life because your aim is to earn money. So you have to expect that in these 6 months you are working a tougher job and you can't really have an extra spend in some luxury product or like some extra food that you have, and a lot of things you have to think of is like I have to save. Only then you can able to save this amount of money. Only then you can earn this much money. Okay, if you can't go through the life like a tough life, I will not say it's a tough life, like a job that you never worked before in your country. Like I never worked before in a factory job in my country. I never know that it is quite hard for me to adapt in it, but I made it because I know that what's my goal. I need money, yeah. But I also do have a few friends where they can't cope with it and they just fly back to their country. In the end, they waste up a lot of money. They did not earn any money, but they end up waste a lot of money. So if you really want to come here, your goal is to earn money, and what you have to do is that you have to focus on. The last is that how have working holiday visa changed me? I would say that the first is I get to more clarify regards of what I want to work, because I know that I don't want to work in a factory job forever. This is not my goal. Okay, this is just currently a stepping stone for me to step to another stone. Like I go for a student visa, I go for my study, and ended up I want to work an occupation that I want to. I'm more clear on what is the field that I want to go towards. What's my goal? Yeah, as I keep on pop myself into situation where I don't really like it, so I keep on force myself to think about what do you really want. You have to be clear about that, because you don't have so much time to waste on, you don't have so much money for it to waste on, and you have to be reality and clarify and strive to go for yourself. So this is what one of the things that I have working on it start changed me. The second thing is that I started to realize that things are always hard. Like if you are the person that thinking of getting a working holiday visa is to running away the current issue that you're facing right now, I can tell you that this is not a good solution. Because when you run away from a current issue, you'll be facing more in a different stage. For example, in Malaysia, we always complain that it's very hard for us to survive. There's too competitive, very less job opportunity, and a lot more. But I can tell you what, when you come to another country, okay, as a foreigner, there's more things that you have to concern about. For example, we have to go through all the legislations in the immigration before we make a single decision, because we can't violate the rules and regulation as a foreigner. Second thing is that we can't really pick for a job, but instead it's a job pick for us, because a lot of job we can't get to prioritize because we are foreigner. But it is always have the things pop up for you to solve it. So I have learned that everything is difficult. Yeah. The third thing I've learned is be more independent, because I'm here now in a foreign country. I don't have my family. I have to learn to be independent. I have to be responsible for every step and decision that I've made. Yeah, like for example, when I'm sick, I don't have my family here to cook for me, to take care for me. In Malaysia, my family, they will pay for the rental, water bill, and everything. But now I started to feel that that is so hard for a living. Like we have to go through so much, we have to pay for the bill. Meanwhile, we have to maintain our job, our studies, and all that. So I started to become more independent when I'm getting a working holiday visa. Yeah, so that's all about today that I want to share about the working holiday visa. If there's something that I did not cover but you're curious about, you can leave me a comment and I will reply you about that. So I will see you in the next time. Goodbye. once I am in crazy. Okay, so 什么，我觉得我刚刚讲到很好嘞。Wait, if you want, and it okay.